know if not, you can just put the recorder down, but I think, whatever you want to do. Okay. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
Good. All right. Here we go. Time to make some TV magic. Okay. We're trying to have this be our best show of the season. No pressure whatsoever. But I've kind of set a high bar for tonight, so see how it goes. 35, you say? Oh, gotcha. Okay. And at some point in the next minute, Coach Rose is going to walk in and sit down. See? Just like that, see? Yeah. On cue. And we already recorded our teas. Here we go. You can watch the monitor. You'll see the teas that opens the show. And then we're off and running. Six.
How we doing, guys?
Doing good.
Thanks for coming.
Hey.
Coming up on BYU basketball with Dave Rose, the Cougars pick up a huge home win and now get set for Gonzaga.
He said dangerous twice, actually. I listened to it.
Yeah. As BYU basketball with Dave Rose starts now.
I interviewed Charles Abuo last Friday, Brandon Davies yesterday, and JT this morning. All from overseas. Yeah.
Behind the mic there?
Yeah.
I just thought it was a great team win because so many guys stepped up and came in and made really
Yeah,
winning plays.
pretty good team.
Yeah.
This is BYU basketball with Dave Rose, presented by Siegfried and Jensen.
Good evening once again, Cougar Nation. Welcome back inside the beautiful BYU Broadcasting Building on campus in Provo. Great to have you along for our weekly hour-long look inside Cougar Hoops here on BYU TV and BYU Radio. You can use the hashtag Rose Show to get your questions in on Twitter, as well as the BYU TV Sports Facebook and Instagram accounts. We've got Q&A coming up later on. Joined on our on-court set by the head coach of the Cougars, Dave Rose, a well-rested Coach Rose after the big win last Thursday. Saturday off. It's back to work, back to practice, and getting ready for another weekend here at home.
It was a good week, and it felt the couple days, where we didn't have a game on Saturday felt like a long time. I mean, it was it's been a while since we got in the league grind and actually had a bye week. Since the last 2 years, we've actually just gone straight 9 weeks, 18 games. So I think the guys, it was interesting on Monday to get them back together, and we gave them Friday off. They had a good workout Saturday morning early, and then we got back together Monday and a couple good practices, get ready to play the Zags.
With the league schedule starting in the new year as opposed to around Christmas, and with 2 fewer games, everyone gets 2 byes this year.
Yeah, and Gonzaga's on a bye too.
Yeah.
They played Thursday night as well. Had an unbelievable game against Santa Clara, and then they negotiated. I think it's a little bit different for us because Sunday is always our day off. Other programs, they massage that that weekend and how it works, and we usually go a couple days on, a couple days off. But for us, it's interesting trying to navigate. I don't like to give them more than a day and a half or so. I always try to figure it out in hours. So sometimes I say, listen, you got 3 days off because you got a couple hours from one day and a couple hours from another day. But they don't see it that way.
On either end, yeah. It was BYU's first WCC bye week. It was a 1-game week with the St. Mary's in town. And the Cougars looking for their second win in the last 3 against the Gales. This was last Thursday night at the Marriott Center. And pretty back and forth for the first part of the first half.
Well, our game plan early was to make them, individually one-on-one go against. We were going to hug those shooters because we really felt like those 3-point shooters are what make them go. And so what happened is Fitz got about 4 or 5 drives right straight to the basket, and then we kind of changed things a little bit, made adjustments. But they did miss their first 13 threes, which was a real advantage for us. And
this was your first 3, I think.
There's a huge basket by McKay in the corner, and got us a lead. Then he makes another drive right down to the middle, and I think he thought he got fouled there. But great offensive rebound here by Zach and Yo, and he ended up putting that back. And offensive rebounds were really, you know, the advantage was obviously St. Mary's, but we had 11 of our own, which really helped us. Big three by Yo trailing, you know, on the break. There's Gab with nice work around the basket and being able to finish that and get it in. You know, this was an interesting play, the end of half. We had a play call, they got the guys in, and we kind of kicked it out of bounds. And we had 1.6 seconds, but what was really great about this is that as soon as that went out of bounds, all our guys stood up on the bench, all the guys on the court, they knew exactly what play we were going to run. It was 1.6 on the side, and we got that thing to Yo, and he made obviously a pretty impressive shot there.
A great touch.
To give us some momentum going in. And then, you know, the second half, we were good. We were on a roll. We were executing. You don't play too many halves, you know, without turning the ball over. And we just seemed to have, you know, great chemistry with our guys, being able to execute. Here's a great play by Nick in transition, where he gets 1-on-5 and he gets to the basket, gets between them all. Great play by Zach. He had kind of a tough call right before that on offensive rebound that I thought maybe they were a little overzealous on the call, but he went and made that steal and then done. Zach's feeling a lot better. There's an interesting way to execute a play, but we got the basket, you know, at the end, and it's just a bunch of guys playing together and pulling together, and then defend this last possession right here, and up with a nice win. So.
Ball game, 5-point win for BYU over St. Mary's, and again now 2 of 3 have gone the Cougars' way against the Gales. Take a look at some numbers of note. And BYU outshoots St. Mary's, which is not easy to do, Coach. Said the Gales are one of the best shooting teams in the country.
Yeah, the biggest number on there is turnovers. You look at the differential between the turnovers, and that really kind of helped us offset the 17 offensive rebounds to our 11 offensive rebounds because of possessions and how you go. But I do think 14 assists shows how we were playing, and the 5 assists shows our game plan where we were trying to isolate them and just make them make plays by themselves, one-on-one, and not be able to get that ball and spit it around and, you know, catch and shoot threes. And it was good for us. I'll tell you another thing that was interesting with that is, you know, we did a really good job on Jordan forward to keep him from having a huge night. McKay and TJ, you know, that we had a lot of Zach to guard him a little bit, you know, and kind of Harding guarded him a little bit, so everybody got a little shot, but we tried to keep him, you know, from going to his right and making plays off his left hand, and it really helped us. And then 2 nights later when they played Pepperdine, Colby Ross was locked in on that right shoulder, and I think it really helped them because Pepperdine got a big win over St. Mary's 2 nights later.
You know, Wade showed what they're capable of, what you saw firsthand. Colby becomes player of the week. They played him as well as you can play.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting when you have bye weeks because you start thinking about who has the advantage and who doesn't have the. Pepperdine's sitting on St. Mary's, and they didn't play on Thursday, and so St. Mary's has to come in after a tough game here, tough travel, you know, get to Malibu, do that thing, and you know, it was just, you know, an overtime game. You know, anybody can win an overtime game, obviously, and but that Saturday was interesting. St. Mary's took a loss, San Francisco took a loss. San Diego had a huge win over San Francisco. So, anyways, the way it all plays out coming back on Monday is that, you know, we're tied with San Francisco in second place, and now everybody goes and kind of does it again.
Take a look at our league standings in a bit, but Thursday's win, we'll go to them right now. Gonzaga at the top, and then you've got that second place tie between the Cougs and the Dons at 5-2, and then a jumble with 4 teams, either 4-3 or 3-4. So a lot to be decided as BYU hits the halfway pole, and Coach, you will be at the halfway mark after Thursday.
Yeah, and even though we haven't played everyone, but we're at the halfway mark. But this will be obviously a really big game in the standings. I mean, someone's got to beat Gonzaga to make it a race, and you know, we've been able to do that, you know, in past years, and hopefully our guys will be ready. This is you know, obviously a home game for us, and they've actually played really well in here the last 2 times in, and so we're going to have to, you know, have a game plan to kind of slow them down, and especially as hard as they're playing last night. I mean, last week I'm watching the Gonzaga Santa Clara game again today, and it's just amazing to think that it's 78-33 at one time in that game, and stop the film and I get a pace paper and try to add it up to make sure that I can realize that they're up 45 points.
I was doing the same thing this morning.
Is that really, is that 35?
Yeah,
Is
it's
that
at 40.
45? And so, you know they're playing really well, and we're going to have our hands full, but our guys are excited to play.
That game got to 14-0, and then Santa Clara never really got back into it. And there was a point late in the first half where it was like 50-10,
Yeah.
and it was legit. It was happening from everywhere too.
Yeah, and it was happening with a lot of guys. That's the really impressive thing about Gonzaga is that you can lock up a few guys, and then they can bring in other guys that and they all have real strengths, but I think each one of them's got some weaknesses in their game, and hopefully we can find a way to exploit that and then get our guys playing really clean basketball like we played the other night.
The game stats we see are presented by Nissan Intelligent Mobility. Now the most exciting tech you own is in your driveway. And it is a home game for BYU. 2 of them this weekend, as a matter of fact. And the Cougs have won 10 of 11 at the Marriott Center this year. 5-game win streak. Houston came in, got one, and since then, Coach Rose, another 5 more wins in a row for you.
Yeah, and what Houston did really well that our guys they all understand is they came in and they really controlled the tempo of that game. And we have to be better offensively, and we have to be better defensively in order to get ourselves in a position where we can increase the tempo a little bit. Obviously, it wasn't a fluke. Houston's first team in
19-1 now, I think.
21.
20-1 now.
First NCAA team to 20 wins are the Cougs, and so it's a good team. And this is a really good team we got coming in here. So we'll look forward to maybe redeeming that one loss.
Okay. All right. Houston ranked 13th, and Gonzaga ranked 4th.
Yeah.
And you've played Nevada, who's been good all year. You've had a good schedule.
These guys have, I think they really competed, and they put themselves in a position where I think one of the most important things about our team right now is that I think our best basketball is ahead of us. I think that some teams get to a point where they played their best, and I think this group, the way that McKay and Luke has really kind of come on to help us, and Gav's coming on, and we'll get Shear back this week, and I think that we've got some really good basketball ahead of us.
All right, segment 1 is done, and it's your day-to-day Cougar sports play-by-play with Spencer Linton and Jerem Jordan. It's BYU Sports Nation. Tomorrow, you'll get college basketball stats man Ken Pomeroy and BYU women's basketball head coach Jeff Judkins tomorrow, noon Eastern on BYU TV and BYU Radio. Coming up after the break, Coach Rose looks to the weekend ahead as the Cougars' 3-game homestand concludes. This is BYU Basketball with Dave Rose here on BYU TV and BYU Radio. Okay. Where was clapping Adeline on that one?
Yeah,
Adeline! Like no clapping from Adeline. I felt like I was lost there. Didn't hear any sound.